Welcome to What the Heck's, your source for Warhammer Underworlds, and under 30 times confusion gets used in a single warband and deck pairing. I'm your co-host, Davy, and I'm on my own on the hosting side, but with me I have my guest who still knows that Scritch is the greatest. Yes, yes. Brandon, how are you?
I'm doing well, Davey. How are you?
I'm doing great. I think the last time we saw each other face-to-face was in Chattanooga. Is that accurate?
Yeah, that's right. Actually, I think that's the only time we've seen each other face-to-face. It was 2019 American Team Championship in Chattanooga.
That's it. Yeah, before the COVID times, but that was a fun event, and your son thrashed me pretty handily with Gits running around with weapons back in first edition. So
yeah, he was so proud of that deck. He just thought he's like, Daddy, I think aggro Gits are a thing. I was like, okay, son, you do it, and he did it.
He sure did. He was in good company there because I know Jimmy Molini was a fan of those aggro Gits as well. I don't know what time he hopped onto him, but we've got you on to talk about you. Just went to the Cherokee Open and got to play that. You, as people would tell from the intro, brought Spiteclaw Swarm, newly revamped, and we're going to get into some of what you did there, why you took them, and all that sort of thing. But before we do, we got a couple housekeeping things to do. We should say that for context, it is the 24th of February, with no news between this last episode and this. So plenty of stuff going on though, with new deck, new warband, and then revamp from the balance update. Randy, you got any community shout outs you want to hit?
Yeah, if you don't mind. So first I'd like to shout out my local friendly local gaming store, which is That Computer Store in Columbia, South Carolina. Stephen Miano, the owner, has been really generous with allowing us to use the space and for events, but also purchasing those rewarding boxes of swag that are the organized play boxes for Underworlds. And I'd also like to shout out the guys over in the Georgia Underworlds meta. So Zach Newcomb especially, for helping me to prepare for the event, and just being willing to get in games whenever you can.
Yeah. It paid off there. I wanted to shout out, that was an event went down. There's a event coming up that a longtime listener Val asked me to shout out. It's the Benelux Clash number 5. It's on the 13th of June. And the location is at the straight out. Well, he's got it listed as straight out at Shadespire. It's I think Val's usual spot for running it. So I'm going to mess up the pronunciation of this, but in Den Haag, Netherlands.
I think you got it, man.
Yeah, sure. He can berate me on DMs for that, but I would. It always looks fun. He often sends pictures out. There's some sharks in there, so I'm sure that there's a ticket available for folks who are in the hunt, and I'm sure there's a good time for everyone, whether you're in the hunt or not. And then I got another listener submitted one. This is from Spinnerite. Asked me to shout out a channel that is just barely getting started. This is UniGeo Studio, and because we were recording so quick to when he sent it, I haven't had a chance to check it out, other than to see that they're just starting. They are looks like they're a father and son combo, and so this is a shout out more to encourage them to keep going. Go check out their stuff. I'll have a link in the show notes. They've got one batrep in there. Looks like it was about 16 minutes long, so nice and quick and sweet. That's a dishwashing video for me. So perfect.
Always need to watch something when we're washing dishes.
Yeah. I'm in one of these 100-year-old houses that doesn't have a dishwasher, so I hand wash everything. So I'm always looking for stuff to occupy my time, and that's kind of the ideal window there. So anything else you wanted to shout out, or should we kind of jump into it here?
No. Thanks for. I think we're good.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's talk about it. We're gonna be focusing kind of. We got some good feedback on deep dive, so we're gonna talk about Spiteclaw's Swarm, a warband that is it's a digital download only. Am I correct on that? They're not.
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of surprising that they're still in the mix. I got the impression at the release of second edition that they might be phasing out warbands that were, I don't know, that were not available to purchase over the counter anymore. Mm-hmm. But here they are, and you were looking to maybe punch a ticket to Worlds at the Cherokee Open, and I got a couple practice games with you early on, and you were not using this warband. I think you were using Starblood when you and I played. Is that correct?
That is correct. And first, thanks for giving me a few games
sure.
to practice with them. So I've always preferred to do a more flex play style. Mm-hmm. I like to hold the tokens, but also I like to do a little bit of melee. So Starblood was my pick to go.
Mm-hmm.
I'd gotten a lot of reps with them, and I was planning to use Emberstone Sentinels and Edge of the Knife because I thought that combo worked really well. But then the FAQ and errata came out, and I saw the changes to Spiteclaw Swarm, which are my favorite warband ever since first season.
Nice.
And I thought, okay, I've got to take them now because they are the changes were really just put them up the meta in my opinion.
So it was more about what Spiteclaw gained and not about the sort of modest amount that Starblood lost then?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
So I would say that out of all the warbands in the current second edition, I have the most reps with Spiteclaw Swarm.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. Just because, I mean, I think you and I talked about this when we were doing practice games, but Skaven were my first Warhammer Fantasy army back in 1995 or 96. And so, yes, I've been playing Warhammer for 30 years, longer than several of your listeners have been alive. And so I've always had a soft spot for the Spiteclaw Swarm. So when in a competitive situation, I did not think that they had the power to win an event until the errata change.
Interesting, sure.
Yeah, and so now I did take. This is my third year at the Cherokee Open. And I've come in second place the two previous years.
Okay.
And so last year I did take Spiteclaw Swarm.
Okay.
And ended up finishing second to Zach Newcomb.
Do you remember what your pairing was last year?
Yeah. It was. I want to say it was Emberstone and what was it? Maybe Emberstone and Countdown to Cataclysm, maybe.
Okay.
So I'll have to look, and now I'm not sure that's correct, but I'll have to go back and look.
Sure. Well, let's take the opportunity since we're going to deep dive this. Some people are going to be really familiar with the changes, and some people may not have a local player that runs Spiteclaw, so they may not be familiar with this at all. So I'd like to give us a quick rundown through the fighters and the War Scroll here, and we can highlight specifically what changed there. So what do you say we give it a rip on the War Scroll first here?
Okay, that sounds good. I would say, just for some context, actually before the change, all three of the War Scroll abilities that were once per game require you to be adjacent to another or a friendly fighter. So now two of them, Skitter and Justified Paranoia, did not change. So basically you have to be adjacent to a friendly fighter. Skitter allows you to, before you are picked to use a core ability, you get to push the fighter 1 hex, which is, to me, super powerful if you start the game with two fighters next to each other, and there's a token right next to them, then you can activate a fighter, put them on guard, push them onto a token. I mean,
so like the action they're picking to do is to go on guard, but they get to push before they do it.
Exactly.
Nice.
Yeah. And then in similar vein, justified paranoia, you when you pick a fighter to use a core ability, you can give them a guard token. So the way that I would use that is usually with Lurking Skaven, who starts with the game with 2 dodge. I would activate him to move, but I'd give him a guard token. So I'd move him onto a treasure token with a guard token on him.
Very nice.
So just to be able to get those guard tokens out really early, or that guard token out early, is super helpful for defensive and holding those tokens.
And then this last one that changed, what was it and what is it now?
Well, for those of you that know and run the warband, previously it was pick 2 adjacent friendly fighters and basically switch their positions. So it was like a really bad confusion for 2 friendly fighters. And I was able to use it sometimes when I was running a warband, but it was just difficult to figure out, is this really a good use of this ability?
Right.
Now it is more or less a confusion for a friendly fighter and any fighter. So you're able to switch as long as one of those fighters is a friendly fighter.
Okay.
And when I saw that change, I was floored because I thought, oh my gosh, you have 2 confusions. And I mean, other people have said it, and like you all said it in your podcast. Path to Glory pointed it out. I mean, it's a very, very powerful ability. There's no other warband that has that ability that I'm aware of on the War Scroll.
Yeah. I think, just running down, we're talking the once per game abilities. You basically are bringing a War Scroll that gives you a sidestep, a guard card, and a confusion, which is like 3 top tier power cards that are just sat there, printed on your War Scroll. That's pretty great.
Exactly.
All right. Well, let's just run down the other pieces. Let's talk the Inspire. So this is immediately after resolving a ploy that picked a friendly fighter, inspire that fighter. So notably, that is your own ploys, but also enemy ploys.
Yeah. So the fun one is when that happens, when your opponent's using ploys, they have to sit there and think, wait a minute. Which fighters am I going to pick? Am I going to pick fighters that are uninspired or inspired? My favorite is when my opponent's using Rack and Ruin, and I can't remember the name of the card, where it's like pick 2 fighters to give them stagger tokens.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, that's great. Thanks for inspiring my fighters.
Yeah, right.
So it's an easy inspire. It is based on each fighter, but at the same time, a lot of times you can pick that. There have been some games where, and it's not the best use of this card, there have been some games where I needed a Scritch to be inspired to get his damage up on his attack and his accuracy. But I would use Healing Potion even though he didn't have a wound on him, just so that I can get that inspire. So.
All right. As a general rule, or it's a deck building consideration, right? Like how many pick a friendly fighter style ploys are you typically including as a rule of thumb?
So, if I counted confusion, if I were to switch 2 of my own fighters, that would be one card for 2. But obviously, that's not the best use of that card. Typically, I'm looking for about 5 or so, 4 to 5. Because the main ones you want to get inspired obviously are Scritch and Kirk. Yeah,
tell me a little bit more of that. Why are they your priority? Because they're the ones that will either are the leader or may be the leader at some point, or damage dealers.
Yeah.
What are your considerations there, making them priority?
Mainly with Scritch being the leader, that increases his accuracy because he starts. So both of them, both Scritch and Kirk, start the game with a range 1 attack that is 2 hammers for 2 damage, and they have a range 2 attack that's 2 hammers for 1 damage. When they inspire, both of their attacks go up to 3 hammers, so it's a lot more accurate.
Yeah, that's big time. So the damage stays the same. Spiteclaw gets to start on 2 dodge. Kirk gets up to 2 dodge. That's pretty significant, especially when you're sporting some guard. So of the remaining fighters, where are your priorities for inspiring there?
I typically do not inspire Lurking Skaven because he is already on 2 dodge. So really the one to inspire is Festering Skaven, because he goes from 1 dodge to 2 dodge, and he'll have his weapon profile is 2 swords for 1 damage, and it goes up to 3 swords for 1 damage with crit grievous. I'm not as worried about him being a damage dealer, but
every once in a while,
he might be able to knock out 2 damage. So Hungering Skaven, I hardly ever inspire, simply because the only change to his war scroll or to his fighter card is he goes to brutal with his attack, and it's always 2 hammers for 1 damage.
Okay. that's about as modest and inspire as you can possibly get. So
right, yeah, and he's already on block too, so he stays at 1 block when he inspires.
Okay. All right. So those are our priority inspires. Let's see what else is on here. We got Swarm. Looks like it's a core ability. This is pick a friendly leader to use this ability, and pick a slain friendly minion, raise that fighter, and place them on an empty starting hex. Then give that fighter a raise token. So the minions are inspiring, lurking, hungering, and festering Skaven. And notably, it looks like you can bring them back to any starting hex, including those in opponent territory.
Right. And obviously the goal there is to get them adjacent to a feature token or a treasure cover, whatever, to try to set up those confusions.
Yeah. How often do you feel like you're dropping into enemy territory? A lot of time, not often.
Yeah. I would say, especially if I'm fighting or matched up against an aggressive warband and they're coming into my territory, I'm definitely going to raise a fighter back in enemy territory. Yeah. Nice.
Let's see. We have on the war scroll as well I'll back up for a second, because that's a core ability, right?
That's correct. Yes. So you do have to use an activation. However, I find that for most of my games, I'm only using that once. There's some times where I may use it twice, but generally I'm using it once, at least for a game.
Yeah, and I guess you can also get a little bit of extra value out of it because the rest of your war scroll has some. Hey, if you're using a core ability, you can still do these other things if you haven't already burned them.
Exactly.
And then notably, it's a leader, which kind of coincides with untimely promotion down at the bottom. And if while a friendly Scritch is slain, Kirk is the leader.
And I have done that sometimes. Scritch will be dead, and I'm like, okay, Kirk, it's time to bring back a fighter. And it catches people off guard. They're like, wait a minute, he's not your leader. I'm like, yes, he is. He is now.
Nice. And then that just leaves a scheming pack, and this is something that did get changed with the update.
Yeah, so it used to be, your schemers with that rune mark are Scritch and Kirk. And previously, their melee weapons would have crit grievous when the target is flanked and surrounded. Now it's just straight grievous, which is huge.
So that'll bump you to 2 at range 2 or 3 at range 1 if they're both, and then actually quite accurate, especially if you're, in this case, by default, you must be having them flanked or surrounded. So
right, yeah, exactly. And so obviously, in thinking about pairings, I had considered Blazing Assault just so that I could have access to Hidden Aid, or even Deadly Synergy to but I just, again, my main goal was to hold tokens.
Sure. So. Yeah. Well, what was the pairing you did end up landing on?
So, it was Emberstone Sentinels and Pillage and Plunder.
Okay. And so, when I heard that you had switched at the last moment, I don't think I realized that you had played this warband so much. So that's one of those kind of last minute switches that you already had the reps in with this warband. So it wasn't like you were, starting from scratch or something, grabbing the new hotness that you just didn't know how it ran. Did you consider, so you mentioned you looked at Blazing, you looked at Deadly Synergy. Was there any other combinations you looked at?
Not really. Obviously, I think it's easy to look at Countdown and Cataclysm just because there are some objectives for holding or jeopardy cards for holding. But I think that the big thing for me in considering this change was the fact that the updated Roar Scroll having that other pseudo confusion ability. I thought, wouldn't it be cool to score Supremacy and strip the realm and people just not be able to catch up to you?
Yeah.
So with this warband, you've got 2 fighters that are 2 bounty on their card, and then 3 fighters that are 1 bounty as long as they haven't been raised. So scoring Supremacy is not that difficult.
That's a good point.
But you can really catch your opponents off guard if you are scoring strip relatively early, especially if they're an aggressive warband and they're not really trying to hold tokens.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny because, sometimes I'll be like, hey, to protect against strip, I'm going to make sure I got my own confusion in pocket. But here, even your own confusion may not be enough because if you've got 2 to my 1, well, then it's no good.
Right.
So you sent me a copy of your deck here. I'm looking at it. It looks like you went with 7 end phases, 6 surges, 7 end phases, and a glory of 20. That is a huge stack of glory sitting in a deck. And did you find that to be pretty smooth? Like let's usually I start with surges, but let's run down your end phase. And did you have any regrets at any time, or do you feel like the 7 end phases was the right call?
So I don't know. I learned this from Zach Newcomb, and when he started after the change in last edition, where you can take more objective cards. He started running 13 cards, and I thought, why are you running 13 cards? And so what I realized was that there's always going to be some end phase that you have in your hand that you're kind of like, should I ditch this or should I not ditch this? Yeah. And by having 13 cards, you think, well, I can ditch this and still be okay because I'll probably have another 2 glory or 1 glory end phase that I'll still score later. But in thinking about the end phases, I think the one that I had the most difficulty scoring was actually Broken Prospects, because the warbands that I competed against were mostly aggro.
Okay.
So they weren't holding tokens very often, and so I couldn't really score it the easy way by delving something they held at the beginning of the round. So I had to make sure to try to get 3 delves, which sometimes proved difficult.
I see. So that felt like the most challenging. This is what one spicy thing with this combo is that you can take 2 3 glory end phases. You can have both Supremacy and Strip the Realm in there, both putting a lot of pressure on the opponent. Because until they see them, they have to assume that they're in hand and play against them.
Right.
So that really drives the cap up. As you already mentioned, Pillage and Plunder is bringing Broken Prospects, Torn Landscapes in there as well. Did that feel pretty good for you?
Torn Landscape yes, definitely. As long as my first goal, obviously, when getting on a token is to go ahead and delve. Because usually that fighter that's going to be on there is going to have 2 dodge and or be on guard. Yeah.
And then have a little bit of cover in there as well.
Exactly.
Nice. So I see there's Iron Grasp in here. And that's a real solid one, and that actually plays really well with Pillage and Plunder because you can drop it down to 1. I just have to hold this one back here. But of all the warbands, I generally, and you don't have it here, slow advance, or is it slow advance?
Yeah, that's yes. I thought about taking that card.
If there's any warband that can, I think it might be this one. But yeah, tell me about how you thought through that.
So I just thought that in looking through, I did not want to take that and Broken Prospects, and so and I thought because I thought taking both of them instead of one of the other one glory in phase was really greedy, and I'm already being greedy taking 3 glory in phases. So I went with Broken Prospects instead because I thought that might be a little easier to score. But also, as soon as your opponent knows if you score slow advance, they're going to be like, okay, you're not getting on this token. You're putting in no one's territory. I'm sorry.
Right. So right. It's it really heavily telegraphs where you're gonna have somebody interesting. Okay, well let's talk the surge package here. It looks like you split it 50-50 between Emberstone and Pillage. I see aggressive defender in there. That's that's on an auto take. And as tanky as your guys are, as many guard things as you're going to be able to throw out, I don't see unassailable. Tell me about that.
Yeah. So I also think that a lot of times that particular one is telegraphed. And as many times as I've played the people that were at this event, they know that I used to run that card a lot. But I also thought that in looking at the end phases from Pillage and Plunder, that it was probably easier for me to score the ones that I took instead of unassailable.
Sure.
Especially since I'm trying to delve as well. Yeah. I won't always be on the treasure token side to score it.
Yeah, and puts you at cross purposes. Like you just mentioned, really enjoy having cover added to your defensive profile when you're on 2 dice. So that one is actively encouraging you to not. Let's see, you got the real nice ones from Pillage and Plunder, Share the Load, Hostile Takeover, Careful Survey. This is the one that's all 3 territories, correct?
That is correct. So, and if you and Share the Load and Careful Survey are also more positioning surges. So which I thought is well within my control as long as I have the fighters.
That makes sense. And you can bring them back if you need to. And then Sally Forth and Step by Step are for being on treasure in enemy territory. And they're very, very similar. So
and Step by Step I took because I wanted to. Well, that's the one that I took mainly because of instead of unassailable. And I just thought, well, a lot of times I'm going to lose a fighter, and as long as I'm on a treasure token with a move or a charge token, if I'm the underdog, I should be able to score it.
Yeah. And with a lot of your minion attack profiles, like you said, it's often fine to just move onto them. You're not giving up like a dream attack if you're forced to score it in the non-underdog way.
Exactly.
Well, seems like a real tasty set of objectives here. We're going to support it with the power deck. You sent me an early copy, and I was a little sad to see that. What's the tunneling? Not the tunneling.
Hidden Paths. Excuse me.
Hidden Paths wasn't in there, but you informed me it in fact was. So I love any warband that lets me do that, and I think a warband that has double confusion is particularly well placed to really leverage that. Is that kind of what tipped it for you? Or
yeah, that was my thought process. So I just thought that if my opponent is going to try to spread out those treasure tokens in their territory at all, that usually they're going to be next to an edge hex, and so whenever I won the board roll off, I would usually take one of the Ember Guard boards. I think it's like the one with the 2 blocked hexes.
Sure.
And I would do I think it's the wide deployment where there is a starting hex in the back of the board.
I see.
And so my goal there is that if I can get confusion early, or if I can get, or excuse me, hidden paths early, then I can inspire the fighter, get them on the other side of the board, and then maybe move on to a token.
Yeah, very nice. Tell me, when we're building decks, a lot of times you end up with like, hey, this is my 10th or 11th ploy. So I'll just run them off real quick. It sounds like it must be hidden paths, sidestep, settle in, healing potion, confusion, hold the line, commanding stride, wary delver, tunneling terror, trapped cache. And by my count, that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, kind of 6 with confusion, 7, 8. Is that 8? That pickup fighter?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes, exactly. Yes.
Nice. Wow. Well, that's a healthy dose. Which of these, or if any, were you like, was maybe in, maybe out, back and forth?
So I debated a lot about tunneling terror, because with I think the more popular Spitewood board side is the one that has been affectionately called the Angry Butthole board. and so I with the one snare hex that looks like a big giant, like a sarlacc pit, for lack of a better term, and so I thought, well, tunneling terror is not going to help me if I don't have more than one stagger hex to get into, or snare hex, whatever you call it. And so, but I ended up taking it mainly because it does allow for an inspire. But also, if I can win the board roll off and get on one of the Ember Guard boards that has 2 snare hexes, then I'll be able to use it a little bit better. And so, and part of that too is getting Scritch away from whoever's about to kill him.
Yeah, that's a good call. Well, let's talk about that. We'll detour onto boards here, because I tend to overlook that, but it sounds like you are pretty solidly going Ember Guard each time. Some because you're guaranteed to have the 2 snare hexes. Were there other considerations here?
So I would say that my goal is to have good defense and attack as few times as possible. And so I also want to make sure that my opponent doesn't have added accuracy if I can help it. So with the more aggressive warbands, I think people like the again, Angry Butthole board, because it has 4 of the Waystone hexes on it.
Yeah.
And so the other thing is that now that board does have a starting hex in the back of the board when you take the wider 5s deployment. So I mean, that one does work, but the other side, with the 2 snares and the 2 Waystone hexes, the starting hexes are very close to the middle of the line. And so that's the one that I definitely didn't want to see.
Did you find, on top of all that, so I similar where I was running the Thundrix at Worlds, and there it was even more different, where you didn't have Aqua Gyranus on the Ember Guard boards. But it was, hey, I care about positioning, I care about standing places, but I'm going to be standing on treasure. I don't really have the bandwidth to be standing on the Waystones if things are going how they're supposed to go. So, and then I also found that they also clogged up potential landing spots for treasure. So,
right.
You could find if things went a little sideways as far as placement, you could end up not getting to drop them exactly where you wanted.
Right, exactly.
When it was up to you, so let's say somebody else picked the board and you had priority on treasure tokens. What were you leaning towards? Were you trying to get like 2, 1, and 2? Like, or were you trying to really load up in your own? Or did you have any rule of thumb for how you're trying to place treasure?
So I think the main thing was trying to get 2 into my area, as relatively far apart, as much as I could. The other thing too that I forgot to mention about boards was I'm looking for those boards that have, or that board that has multiple starting hexes, or like at least 2 starting hexes together.
Mm-hmm.
And so the reason for that is to be able to use the War Scroll abilities early.
Right off the gate.
So like if I can put Scritch on guard and push him onto a hex with Skitter during the first activation, or activating Lurking Skaven, putting him on guard with Justified Paranoia and getting him on a treasure token across an enemy territory, then those are having those starting hexes together make that a lot easier.
Yeah, that makes sense. I imagine if you got to place one in enemy, you're trying to put it, one away from a starting hex, so you have the opportunity to confusion onto it.
Correct. Yeah. Or actually, if I could get it next to a starting hex and an edge hex, that would be even better.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Mm-hmm. All right. Yeah, I like it. Okay. Good detour. Let's just finish up ploys here. We talked tunneling terror. You have, on top of what your War Scroll is bringing you, you have 2 guard cards between Settle In and Wary Delver. Commanding Stride, was that, I guess, also to keep Scritch out of trouble, or occasionally bring in like a high value attack if you really needed it?
Yes. So I also have, we're going to get this in a moment, but I have Duelist in the deck, and Scritch is usually the recipient of that upgrade. And so being able to Commanding Stride and then possibly attack in the activation and then push him 1 hex onto a treasure token is super helpful. But yeah, the big thing is just getting him out of the way so that he doesn't get attacked.
Yeah, right. Makes sense. Well, all right, let's talk those upgrades. Looks like you've got a total glory value of 11 there, which is a fairly cheap upgrade deck. And even as fast as you are, I still see great speed in there.
Yeah. I think that I just don't think you can leave home without it. I think it's because it's 0 glory. It's just so helpful to use and have it in your deck.
Let's see. The rest, we've got Brute Momentum, another one to keep you stuck on a particular token. Agile Defensive, we talked Duelist. Great Fortitude, a little extra health. Keen Eye, Burrowing Strike, Canny Sapper, and possibly Quick and Glory Seeker. All seem real solid. I think any of your minions, they're happy to take Burrowing Strike. Little extra damage from Glory Seeker, but keeping it cheap.
Yeah, and I thought about doing Great Strength, but since they have access to Grievous, if the enemy or if the target's flanked, then I just thought, you know what? Why not save on Glory and take another upgrade that is a little bit more helpful, like Burrowing Strike for my minions.
Yeah, more and more I'm finding I'm guilty of overpricing my upgrade deck, where I'll get down on like, oh, I built a 15 glory upgrade deck. Like that's going to be real hard to process through.
I think that's especially easy to do with the most recent deck choices that we have. So because they're like with Deadly Synergy, there's some really good 2 glory upgrades in that deck, and it does get a little out of hand.
We've kind of run through the deck. Let's talk about what matchups did you think felt real good for you? What were you worried about going into the event?
So I was worried about Skinnerkin. If their dice are hot, then they're going to hit, and they're going to hit hard. And especially if they're running, say, Blazing Assault, and Twist the Knife comes up. So they can one-shot 4 of my fighters if that happens usually. So that was one.
I'd say another challenge with them is that if you got somebody who's willing to put Karnskir in harm's way, he's got that 50-50 to just say, hey, I don't care that you're on guard with Brute Momentum. There's a 50% chance that I'm just going to pick you up and set you next to the treasure as well.
Yeah. So when we get into the first match, it'll be interesting to talk about. So yeah.
Okay.
And then one of the opponents that I knew would be there is Bryce Martin. He went to Worlds last year, and he's the one that beat me in at the Cherokee Open in 24 to go to Worlds. And so I thought that he was going to be running a super aggressive Shadeborn deck, which he did.
Okay.
And he was using Raging Slayers and Blazing Assault. So, and not only are they relatively fast with a 4 move, but the sort of that shadow charge where you can be in a edge hex or a cover hex, and then also the fact that they have 2 fighters with range 2, and they have access to ensnare and cleave. I mean, they can be scary.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Let's talk through your game. So how many? I think there were 6 players at the.
Yeah, so it's one of the things that whenever I listen to players recap a Grand Clash, I'm thinking, how many players were there? What was the competition like? While there were only 6 players, that we had some big competitors. So there was Zach Newcomb was the TO, but he was the ringer. And I played him in the second match. But of course, if you know, he was at Worlds. Yeah. Bryce Martin was at Worlds again this past year. He's the one I played in the last match. Kalen Hershaw was also there. He was my first match. He was playing the Skinnerkin. He's a regular on the Discord and on in the league, like Universal leagues. And also Jake Bennington, from Goonhammer. He was also at Worlds. I was really worried about him. I didn't end up playing him, but I think he did really well at Worlds with Thorns, if I remember.
Yeah, he did quite well. I think he's 6-4, maybe.
Yeah.
6-4, somewhere in there.
Yeah, so of course, I mean, even though it was a small number, the field was very competitive.
Yeah, I remember thinking that, kind of scanning that, being like, "Yep, there's no easy games there." So who'd you get the first round?
So the first round was Kalen Harshaw, and again, he was playing the Skinnerkin. So Raging Slayers and Deadly Synergy with that pairing. And so we ended up splitting the first 2 games. The first game I ended up with basically it was one of the things in playing Skinnerkin is my goal is I shouldn't expect to get many kills.
Oh no, especially in that combo. I played Phil with it, and it brings even more healing than they already have. And on top of that, if they're saying like, "Hey, I'm getting crits early," it means they're getting haunches early off their chefs. Yeah, it's nuts.
Yes, yeah, and so if the main one that I wanted to kill was Kretch. So Kretch has the movement, but he's also a chef. And so as long as I can take him out, I feel pretty good because I can more or less stay away from Grisla. Okay. Since she's only moved 3. Sure. So the first game, I was able to take Kretch out, like I think in the second round. So one of the big theme of the games of this match was the Karn Skier. Every time throughout the whole match, every time except for one time when he flew over one of my fighters, he would do 1 damage and get a haunch. Okay. And this was like, it must have been 7-8 times that he rolled hammers or crit. And at the very end of the game, or very last game of the match, he at the end of that game, he got a push. Yeah. And he didn't want the push. He wanted the haunch. So he thought I'm going to get another haunch. And nope, actually it didn't work out this time. But yeah, he was able to get the first 2 games, or actually I think all 3 games, he was able to inspire pretty quickly. Mainly because like he would be able to get into my either Hungering Skaven or Festering Skaven, who only had to start at 1 defense. Right. After that, I spread him out in game 1. I was able to kind of get my fighters away from his, and he just couldn't keep up with the movement. Right. And so I took that game 17-13. And then in the second game, he got to pick the board, and he went with you guessed it, the Angry Butthole board. And he did the Y deployment, and we were pretty close together, and he was able to get into Kirk really early. I think he took him out in the second round. And then the first activation of the third round, he killed Scritch. And at that point, I think I had maybe 2 minions left. And he ended up getting another minion. So it was just, I just couldn't crawl back from that. And he won that 15-11. The third game was very different. I think both of our dice, my attack dice were a little bit better. I was able to take Kretch out in the first round, and which was huge. And so then at that point, I was able to spread him out again, and Grisla really couldn't catch up to any of my fighters. And I was totally fine with him coming after with his other 2 fighters that only have damage 1, and including card skier. So I ended up winning that one 21-12.
All right. So healthy round 1, got to go to 3 games. That can be a little tiring. You launch straight into match 2.
Yeah. So this one I was playing Zach Newcomb. He was playing with Exile Dead, and he was using
Exile
Deadly.
Dead.
Yes, Exile Dead, yeah. And he was using Deadly Synergy and Rack and Ruin.
Oh boy. Have you played against this warband yet?
Yes.
And then okay.
Yeah. So when I was doing some practice games, he used the Exile Dead, because he had told me, he was like, because since he's the TO, he was like, I'm going to let you guys see my deck and all that other stuff.
Okay.
And so, but he, I had shortly, I don't know, it was like he hadn't settled on the deck yet, but he was using them to give me some games. And so, again, like the big thing is, if I can get behind him and get to Dantalos, then he's going to lose if I can get the kill. But just being able to just go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, is that your game plan then? You aggressively go after Dantalos, or
if I can, yeah. So usually what that means is I'm either, if I can use hidden paths to get in behind him, or if if I have an opening to be able to run over there with great speed. So I was able to take a few shots at him, but I wasn't actually able to kill him in our 2 games. Okay. So, yep. So the first game, it went well for me. I was able to farm quite a few of his zombies. I got a couple of shots at Dantalos, but again, like when he inspires to 2 block, it can be difficult to get through without cleave. Yeah. And
it's, it is interesting because you talked about farming zombies. It's such a balancing act against that warband where, even if most of your scoring is coming from standing in particular spots, positional scoring or whatever, you can't just ignore them, because if they get a crowd around you, they're going to get the accuracy they need to be able to pull you off of there. Exactly. Yeah. And the nice thing too, about my deck is I have I've got the teleports with hidden paths, but also with Canny Sapper. And so thankfully I was able to kind of get away from him. And he couldn't swarm me like they are good at doing. Yeah. I think the hardest thing to deal with is the puppeteer action. And so because getting that double charge, he can take out a fighter in 1 activation, even if they're only doing 2 damage. Yeah. So, yeah. The first game, I think his dice were not great, and I was able to make some solid defense rolls. The other thing too is that since the zombies usually only have 2 attack dice, even if they're united and have a reroll because I'm staggered, if I'm in a cover hex and on guard, it's still really hard to get. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. Yeah. So, the first game, I ended up taking 17-11. The second game was really it. I'll go ahead and tell the final score. The final score was 20-20, and I won it on tie breaks. Oh, jeez. Okay. Yeah, it was insane. So it was, he
he was able to score quite a bit of his deck. And I'll admit, I was not doing a very good job of just trying to keep him from scoring some of his objectives.
Yeah.
And some of that was just because I hadn't played against Rack in so long. Things like, Stay Close.
Yeah.
Was very easy to play against, and I just wasn't thinking. But it's also really easy for him to get things like aggressive unity because of the chaining of attacks.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
He was able to kill a couple of my minions pretty quickly, and because his dice were better. And then I was able to farm some zombies to get some glory. I did end up taking out what is the guy's name? That's the apprentice.
Markov.
Yeah, I think I took out Markov, and again took a shot or two at Dantalos, but couldn't take him out. It was the very final activation. He knew he needed to get on a treasure token to avoid getting scorched, for me to scorch strip the realm. And if I remember correctly, I hadn't. I think Supremacy was at the bottom of my deck, and so I hadn't drew into it. So he did an action, and I think he just ended up either charging or moving with what's the other Regulus, because Regulus is not a conductive fighter, so he can hold treasure and delve.
Yeah.
And so he either got an attack off and overran or something. I can't remember exactly what happened. Or he may even confusion me. Regardless, he got Regulus on a treasure token in my territory, and there was a zombie on the Aqua Gyranus next to him.
Sure.
Okay. I had confusion in my hand, so I switched them.
Okay.
So that he was not on a treasure token.
Yeah.
But still in the Aqua Gyranus.
Yeah.
And so I was able to score strip, and it was 2020, but I was the only one on a treasure token. So I went on tiebreak. Yeah, he was not happy about it. Well, I mean, he was just like, I hate what you did, but that was an amazing play.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
That's I really love finding like the edge corner case uses for confusion. You know, like there's everyone thinks about hey, we're gonna swap who owns this treasure token, but there's all those like creative plays that can also happen with it are really fun.
Yeah, and I was just glad that I had it still in my hand and I hadn't used it earlier in the game. So,
what was your round 3 then?
So I won the first 2 games, so we didn't end up playing round 3.
Oh yeah, sorry. I mean your match 3.
So match 3, excuse me.
Yeah.
So match 3 was against Bryce Martin.
Okay.
So he was playing the aggressive Shadeborn deck, which is.
And is this the final match for the day? Or?
Yes, this is the final match of the game or of the Open.
Okay.
And this was the matchup that I was more worried about, again because he had access to ensnare off the bat, and the movements and shenanigans, move 4, range 2 attacks, all that. In the first game, I was able to, if I recall, score strip relatively early because he was not sitting on treasure tokens. He was all about coming in and trying to kill my fighters. And his dice were not, they were mediocre, I would say, probably meh. He was able to score some of his end phases and some surges. Mainly the ones from I think those ones that involve either dice rolling or having a charge token in enemy territory, stuff like that. I remember, if I remember this correctly, I think it was in the first or second game, but he attempted. Oh, it was actually in the first game. He attempted a charge using Haymaker into Scritch really early on and missed.
Okay.
And it was with Slythale with the charge there with her on the edge hex or whatever. I can't remember.
Shadow ambush.
That's it. Yeah.
Looking at their card, I mean, the other thing that they really have going for them is that Gloomweb Hex that cuts a save dice off you. Like that's a really big deal for you.
Yes. Yeah. And and I can't remember if he used that ability on that attack or not, but it definitely, he ended up missing it. And I was just like, oh my gosh, that could have been the game. But I think that that was sort of the way the match went for him, was that those important dice rolls to take out fighters were just not turning up for him. So, or I would defend it. But the first game was 1914, me, and then the second game went very similar. He was, I can't remember if this was my board placement or his, but he, if I recall, we were wide. He was able to again get into my territory relatively quick, but his dice were not helping him very much. And so I ended up winning that one 17-12. But one of the things that was interesting is, as we're going through this second game, I'm sitting here looking at my objectives. I'm looking at what I have and what Glory has, and I was like, I'm not sure I can figure this out. And he just was like, he just said, dude, it's okay. You're going to Barcelona. You're going to win this. And I'm just like, I was like, I don't see it happening. And he was just like, no, I'm telling you, you're going to win this. It's okay. And so I was very appreciative of that. I was able to take a little breather for a second, and then finish it out. So,
well, congratulations. You take that match and you do punch a ticket to Barcelona. Are you gonna pull the trigger on that? You gonna go?
So it all depends on. Well, I mean, I really do want to go. I mean, obviously, I want to go. I mean, who wouldn't want to go?
Sure.
But as you can imagine, my wife is also like, you're not going to go to Europe and we and your rest of your family not go with you.
Yeah.
I think she even said, because that's not fair, or something like that.
Okay.
But I mean, if I can make it work, I financially, I'll definitely do it. It's just, I don't know, like, I guess it's an opportunity to practice my Spanish, what little I knew from college.
Yeah.
But anyway, we'll see. I am appreciative that it's a little bit later, because I think it's in December this year. If I can paint enough models for commission work and get some other side hustle stuff going, then I'm going to try to make it happen.
Sure. You got the time. It's an advantage of getting that ticket so early in the years. You got time to try to make it happen. So,
right. Yeah.
I will say I very much enjoy the experience. I in a similar way this year, I'm cutting way back on hobby travel. Just it's less about money in this case, although that factors in, but more about just like, hey, I gotta all this vacation time that I take, I got to spend some of it on the rest of the family, and not just me and Emmett going and playing games. So,
right. Yeah. Yep.
However, if Emmett somehow manages to get a ticket, then I think the family's going to try and go to Spain. So we'll see.
That's great. That's great. Okay, cool.
If it's just me, then probably not. But if Emmett gets one, so I'm gonna train him up, see what we can do. But yeah.
Okay, that's great. Well, it's also I guess that's the way you can rationalize it. Come on, honey. I'm doing this for Emmett. Right?
Yeah. Well, that it was straight from her mouth. She's like, well, if he were to get it, she's like, I wouldn't want to take that away from him. Like, excellent. Yeah. Take it away from me, but not that guy. Anyway, no, but it's not to digress too much into parenting stuff. Like he enjoys the game, and I don't want to turn it into a chore or like a high stress thing. So I joke about training him up, but really I just, like, we're in the, hey, let's try different war bands and have fun with it. And so I'm not actually putting any of that pressure on him or anything like that. Just I'd rather he have a fun year of playing, regardless of where he gets to go. So yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, sounds fun. You still excited for Spiteclaw? Really glad with the changes. It seems like they worked out.
Yes, I am. And I'm excited to try the new deck out, the Nexus of Power with them. Because I just think that the first thing I did when I looked at the new deck was, is there another guard card in here? And it just so happens that there is. and so I just thought, okay, I think this will be good.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing. I think it's a little less obvious than it maybe at first appears. I've got to use it a couple times, and it'll need some reps for people to get the most out of it, I think. But yeah, it'll be cool. I'm glad your favorite warband got some shine on it. It really feels like they are if not the premier, then one of the premier take and hold warbands at this point. Like just with the tech they come with, and that's. It's good.
I would definitely agree with that.
Yeah. Well, all right. I think that about does it for us. Is there anything else you wanted to talk about? The warband, the event, anything like that?
Well, I will say that if there are any listeners near Cherokee, North Carolina, or Asheville, or just in the Southeast, I would encourage you to come to the Cherokee Open. It is a very nice venue. It's at the Harris Cherokee Casino. It's a very, it's grown so much. This is the fourth year that I've gone. It's grown so much that they're looking to expand into another floor, of the convention area. I also got the opportunity to play, Warhammer: The Old World, this weekend. And so that was a lot of fun, just hanging out with some like Trace Hide from Battle Mallet and and just some of the other guys that are in that community. It was a great time.
Are you running Skaven in the Old World?
So I almost did.
Okay.
So I still have my army back from days of yore. But I actually ended up taking Nurgle demons. So
ooh, all right, gnarly.
Yeah. Oh, cool. Yeah, very much so.
Well, that sounds awesome. I'm glad the weekend was great. It was cool to hear about what I really loved, on like seeing a warband like Spiteclaw win is cool, but just hearing what you played against, like hearing that Skinnerkin were there, that Exiled Dead and Shadeborn, like Thomas is frequently confused why more people are not taking Shadeborn, but all in all, like those are war bands that we haven't heard nearly as much about as some of the other ones. So that's a really cool win and run of opponents to see you go through, and I think that is the kind of thing that gets me pretty excited for the game. So
absolutely, I think it's in a very healthy state right now. With the spread of war bands that are competitive for sure.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that holds true whether you are trying to do like you did and go and try and compete for a ticket, or whether you're just playing pickup games and having fun locally. Because I've had a lot of fun just throwing some different things together and trying it out, giving some different looks to people locally or Emmett or whatever. So it's been good.
Awesome.
All right. Well, hey, that will about do it for us. We're going to say thanks to our patrons for helping us out, keeping the lights on for us. That's super cool. We'll be back at you in a couple weeks with topic TBD. We have enjoyed doing these deep dives. We may do another one if someone's particularly enjoying something. We keep talking about getting a deeper look at Exiled Dead, and we've got just the guy for it. So we'll see if that comes up. But
is that who is that?
Wellner, Zach, Jake.
Gotcha.
At our local is very, very practiced with the Exiled Dead, and he'll make your life miserable playing against him.
Well, maybe I'll have to hit him up and get some practice games in.
Yeah, for sure. If you want to talk to us, you can do it at our Discord is a great place to do it. If you prefer email, whatthehexcast@gmail.com is a great way to do it. All our content, including all the coverage of the latest releases and the deck and warband and all that, you can get to that at themortalrealms.com, along with all the other shows on our network. We have, before we leave though, we always have a Flavitex quiz, and since you are the lone man standing here, it's all down to you. So
I've been looking forward to this all day.
All right. This one is I think you're going to get this. I think folks won't, but I think you just might. So this one is attributed, and it's attributed to Mayari Lightcaller. Hold just a moment. This cannot be correct.
That's confusion, baby.
Yeah, there it is. And just to keep on that theme, our recommended listening for this episode is From the Temptation, and it is Ball of Confusion. And
nice. Very fitting. Very fitting.
For What the Hex, I've been Davy.
I've been Brandon.
Okay.
I mentioned everyone that was in the event except for my best friend Hank, who was also there. And I feel really bad right now because if I say, "Hey, you should listen to this episode,"
it doesn't even
he's
get
going to say, "You didn't say anything about me."
What was Hank running?
Hank was running Barf Wormspat.
Oh boy! All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and so I told him it was a few days before we were getting ready to leave for the event, and I said, "Hank, I just need you to know that they nerfed Wormspat a little bit," and he was like, "What the hell? I just made a deck." So anyway, so Hank, if you're listening, love you, man.